Yesterday we swept the board and we continue climbing in the ladder challenge. 5 days down. We've got our 6th day today and a few more best bets. Let's dive into it. What's up, guys? It's your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video where I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as we just try to get to the bag and make some money together. Yesterday, like I mentioned, we had a sweep on the day. Let's go. It's been a little bit since we've had a sweep, but we needed it. Scotty Barnes rebounds, no sweat bet there. We cashed in on New Mexico in the late nights. Always great to wake up to some money. And then day 5 of the ladder challenge, smack. Tobias Harris and Evan Mobley both get the 15 points that we needed. Man, that Evan Mobley was a sweat. He didn't get it until 2 minutes left to go in the game, but we got it done. 3-0 on the day. You can see our year-to-date record right here. Still killing it in the month of November. 65% hit rate in the month of November. Absolutely crushing it in the NBA. And guess what, my friends? I've got some more best bets on the way for you today, including that 6th leg in the ladder challenge. So if you can, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. The more you like and share this video, the more people get to know about these picks as we continue to try to beat the sports books together. My goal is just to help you make money. So let's continue to spread the message. And I hope that you guys have a great Thanksgiving as well, as we will have another best bet video tomorrow for that NFL slate. So make sure you guys are tapping into that and sending that to some of your friends who might be looking for some NFL winners. So let's dive into this first best bet. For my first best bet of the day, I'm going to go with the trend, and I'm going to go with the Hornets and Wizards over 242.5 points, minus 110 odds. Besides Indiana, which is obviously the biggest outlier this year when it comes to overs. They're 12-13 in games going over. Last night, those teams combined for over 300 points, which was the highest total that we've seen in a game in forever. I mean, it was absolutely amazing watching that electric offensive performance, especially by Halliburton and Trae Young. But we're not betting on the Pacers today. We're betting on that Hornets and Wizards game. And like I mentioned, the Pacers love to go over, but these are two teams that love to go over as well. The Hornets and Wizards are both in the top 10, actually 6th and 7th in terms of going over in games this year. They have a 69% hit rate in games going over. They're both 9-4 this year. This will be the 3rd time that these teams are facing off this season, and in the first 2 matchups, guess what? Both of those games went over, and we had 2 high totals in those games as well. The first game was a 238.5 total. Second game was 240.5. Both of those games went over. So you know what? I'm just going with the trend today and saying, you know what? Both of those games went over. I think this one's going to go over, even though it's a little bit of a higher total. But you know what? I can't go against it, because when you look at the numbers, the Hornets are actually stronger now offensively than they were in those 2 other games. So for me, I think I like them even more now than I liked them in the past, because in those November matchups, guess what? They didn't have Miles Bridges, who's back, and he's going to give you an easy 14 to 17 points depending on what he's doing that night. And keep in mind, in his last full season, Miles Bridges was averaging 20 points per game. So that's the perfect 1-2 complement with LaMelo Ball, who's also playing his best basketball of the season right now. Over the last 5 games, LaMelo's averaging 33 points per game to go with 8 assists. So not only is he getting his teammates involved, but he's scoring the rock as well. I love the fact that both of these teams are top 10 in pace of play. Washington is 2nd and Charlotte is 10th. So you know me, I love pace of play, which means a lot of shots, a lot of transition, a lot of easy buckets, which means a lot of scoring, right? And then also, when you look at both of these teams, they just love to score points. The Wizards are 10th in points per game. They're averaging about 115, and the Hornets are 13th, averaging about 114 points per game. Both of these teams love to score the ball. Defense is one of those things that you don't really see too much from them, and I think the Hornets are going to be riding high after that win they had against the Celtics, which nobody was expecting them to win that game. And guess what? We're 4-0 on totals this year. I showed that year-to-date record a little bit earlier. So you know what? We might as well not go away from it. We've been cashing on totals. The trend has been to take the over on teams that don't play any defense, and I think that we've seen that with the teams like the Pacers, the Hawks this year, and these are another 2 teams that have been trending towards the over. So let's not overthink it. Let's just go with the Hornets and Wizards over 242.5 points as our first best bet. Now, for our second best bet of the day, I'm going to stick with that total trend, and I'm going to go with an Eastern Conference Finals preview. We got the Celtics taking on the Bucks here in what I think is going to be an exciting matchup. I think it's going to be a ton of offense here, and I just want to isolate this game to the offenses, because I think both of these teams are going to score, but I think I'm going to go with the Celtics here at home, and I'm going to go with their first half over 59.5 points, minus 120 odds. And I like the Celtics isolated here because we've seen how the Bucks have struggled defensively really since that Jrue Holiday trade, and Jrue Holiday's facing his former team for the first time, so I think there's a little sentiment there as well. But I think this is just one of those things where that backcourt game, I mean, he's a great player, but he's an offensive player. He's not giving you the stops that you need, and we've seen guards go absolutely crazy against this Bucks team. And now with when you've got an offense that's as potent as the Celtics, who can hit you in different ways, whether it's Tatum, whether it's Brown, whether it's Derek White, right? For me, that's a point of concern. And don't even keep in mind Jrue Holiday as well in this revenge spot against his former team. So for me, I think that because of that, the Celtics are going to come out tonight, absolutely score the ball at a high clip, at a high margin. The Bucks have struggled defensively. They're giving up on average about 58 first half points per game, but that number actually goes a little bit higher on the road at 62 points per game. Meanwhile, the Celtics offensively have been excellent this year, third in the NBA in first half points per game, averaging over 61 points, and that number actually takes a slight increase when they're at home to just under 62 points per game. So I love to see that. And then also keep in mind that the Bucks are also one of the fastest paced teams in the league, about 6th in pace of play, which means a lot more offensive opportunities, a lot more shots. They're going to push the ball, which means more opportunities for the Celtics off of the point scored or off of the rebound, whatever the case may be. So for me, I think this is just a really good spot that we're getting. Under 60 points is normally like a green flag for me when it makes my ears perk up. I see a first half team total for a team like the Celtics, the Nuggets, teams that literally get out and really get that offense going early. I think that's a good opportunity. Let's go with the Celtics first half over 59.5 points as we continue to exploit the trend of the Bucks struggling defensively. Now for our third and final best bet of the day, you guys know where I'm going. We're going to the ladder challenge, our 6th day in a row. Let's go. Halfway there. We can't celebrate you just yet because our job is not finished. Channeling my inner Kobe today. You know what I'm saying? So for today, we're going to go with a 3-team steam. Money line, just on the money line for our challenge. We're going all college games later on in the evening. Nebraska, Cincinnati, and Arkansas. Take all 3 on the money line. That gets you to plus 115 odds here. And I just really like this matchup for all 3 of these teams. They all are favored by like 6 or more points, so they should win their game. And I think all these teams should cover as well. But let's dive into each one of these teams real quickly. Nebraska, they take on Duquesne. And I think this Duquesne team, they're solid. They're one of the best teams in the A10. And I think they can make some noise come March. But this Nebraska team is legit. Their coach, Fred Hoiberg, I don't know if you guys remember him. He's back in the college game after he had a brief stint in the NBA for a few years. That didn't work out too well for him. But remember those Iowa State teams that had like George Niang that used to go on those tournament runs? They even won the Big 12 a few times. I think they won the Big 12 Conference Championship a few times. Fred Hoiberg was that coach. So now he's back in Nebraska. I think this is his second or third year. So he's been able to start implementing his team and his system here. And that team has turned it around. And things are looking good in Lincoln over there. They're 5-0 on the year. And they have a top 50 offense. And they're in the top 50 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. So I definitely love to see that. And while neither team has played a strong schedule just yet, Duquesne has shown some vulnerability. They lost to Princeton and they barely escaped Cleveland State, and both of those games were at home. So for me, that's a point of concern. I think the Cornhuskers are the better team here. So let's go with the Cornhuskers on the money line as the first leg. Now the second leg, we're going with Cincinnati, and I expect them to handle business against a Georgia Tech team that's just not very good at all. They lost in their last game to UMass Loyal at home. They lost 74-71, and they have to pull out all their stops and against a Howard team that plays in the MEAC, and they had to win that game 88-85. I actually was watching that game, and truthfully, Georgia Tech shouldn't even have lost that game. Howard just messed up towards the end. For me, since he has the better offense and the better defense here, the spread is at 10, and I think since he does cover that in just general, we're just fading this Georgia Tech team and Damian Stoudemire in his first year there in Georgia Tech, and truthfully, they're about to go on a gauntlet. Look at their schedule over the next week. They play Cincinnati, they play Duke, they play a ton of good teams. So for me, I just think the losing streak starts today for them. So actually started last game. So let's go with Cincinnati on the money line for the second leg. Now for our third and last leg, we're going with Arkansas in the battle for Atlantis here, and I think this is a big bounce back spot for them. They lost in their last game against UNCG, and that's a very good UNCG team. Another team to keep on your radar, later on down the season, come March Madness time and upset time. I think that UNCG team is legit, and I actually watched that game, and Arkansas had their chances, but they dug themselves too big of a hole to really come back, and UNCG just hit some top shots. But I also think they were just looking ahead. I mean, come on now, when we were in college and we knew our next game was going to be in the Bahamas, what? I was going to be looking forward to that as well. And I probably wouldn't have taken UNCG seriously, and I think that's what happened with that Arkansas team. But one thing that I know about Eric Musselman, that coach for Arkansas, he ain't going for that. He's going to make sure that these boys are locked in for today. He's going to make sure they understand that they lost last game because they weren't serious. They're going to put that court press on you. And remember, this is a team that's both ranked in the top 30 offensively and defensively, so they can get you in either way. And the Stanford team, they've shown some vulnerability this year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They got up 89 points in a loss to Santa Clara, and they've given up 70 or more points to every other team they played this year, and each of those teams are ranked 200 or lower on KenPom. Guess what? Arkansas is a top 25 team. So for me, I don't see how Stanford is going to get enough stops here or even score the ball enough against this Arkansas team to get this win today. So all we need is Arkansas to get the win. We're not laying any spread. No, we're just going to take the juice on the money line. Arkansas to get the win, Cincy to get the win, and then Nebraska to get the win. Plus 115 odds, which will carry us on to our next day of our ladder challenge. Well, that's it for me today, my friends. 3 bets, 3 winners that are headed your way on this Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve. We're going to go with the Hornets and Wizards over 242.5. We're going to go with the Celtics first half team total over 59.5. And then we're also going to take that money line, 3-leg steam there, Nebraska, Cincy, and Arkansas to get it done for us. And hopefully we'll be celebrating another sweep. And again, keep your eyes on the channel as we'll have an NFL video dropping for you guys tomorrow to celebrate Thanksgiving. All right, my friends, be safe. Have a great time with friends and family. Enjoy time with your loved ones. And as always, let's get to that cheddar. Thankful for each and every one of you guys and the support, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Later, gang.